hitched to the fading star of a disposable periodical. And of course, the elephant in the room was the English. In its early days, US copyright law was non-existent and didn't recognize anyone else's. Publishers were free to take the talents of Dickens, Trollope, and anyone else and freely print it without permission or coin. Competing against that gave you a decided disadvantage. Within these stories, you will also find very occasional examples of historical prejudice. A few words here and there which in today's world some may find inappropriate or even offensive. It is not our intention to make anyone feel uncomfortable, but to show that the world, in order to change, must reconcile itself to the actual truth, rather than put it out of sight. Context is everything, both to understand and to illuminate the path forward. The author's words are set. Our reaction to them encourages our change. Within this melting pot of styles, genres, and wordplay, one fact stands out. The American short story literary tradition has a strong, vibrant, and almost inclusive history, if you know where to look, which is here.
The Screaming Skull by F. Marion Crawford. I have often heard it scream. No, I'm not nervous. I'm not imaginative, and I never believed in ghosts, unless that thing is one. Whatever it is, it hates me almost as much as it hated Luke Pratt, and it screams at me. If I were you, I would never tell ugly stories about ingenious ways of killing people, for you never can tell but that someone at the table may be tired of his or her nearest and dearest. I have always blamed myself for Mrs. Pratt's death, and I suppose I was responsible for it in a way, though heaven knows I never wished her anything but long life and happiness. If I had not told that story, she might be alive yet. That is why the thing screams at me, I fancy. She was a good little woman with a sweet temper, all things considered, and a nice, gentle voice. But I remember hearing her shriek once when she thought her little boy was killed by a pistol that went off, though everyone was sure that it was not loaded. It was the same scream, exactly the same, with a sort of rising quaver at the end. Do you know what I mean? Unmistakable. The truth is, I hadn't realised that the doctor and his wife were not on good terms. They used to bicker a bit now and then when I was here, and I often noticed that little Mrs. Pratt got very red and bit her lip hard to keep her temper, while Luke grew pale and said the most offensive things. He was that sort when he was in the nursery, I remember, and afterward at school. He was my cousin, you know. That's how I came by this house. After he died, and his boy Charlie was killed in South Africa, there were no relations left. Yes, it's a pretty little property. Just the sort of thing for an old sailor like me who has taken to gardening. One always remembers one's mistakes much more vividly than one's cleverest things, doesn't one? I've often noticed it. I was dining with the Pratts one night when I told them the story that afterwards made so much difference. It was a wet night in November, and the sea was moaning. Hush, if you don't speak, you'll hear it now. Do you hear the tide? Gloomy sound, isn't it? Sometimes about this time of year— Hello, there it is. Don't be frightened, man, it won't eat you. It's only a noise after all. But I'm glad you've heard it, because there are always people who think it's the wind or my imagination or something. You won't hear it again tonight, I fancy, for it doesn't often come more than once. Yes, that's right, put another stick on the fire and a little more stuff into that weak mixture you're so fond of. Do you remember old Blauklot the carpenter on that German ship that picked us up when the Clontarf went to the bottom? We were hove to in a howling gale one night, as snug as you please, with no land within 500 miles, and the ship coming up and falling off as regularly as clockwork. "Pity the poor people's ashore this night, boys," old Blauklot sung out as he went off to his quarters with the sailmaker. I often think of that, now that I'm ashore for good and all. Yes, it was on a night like this, when I was at home for a spell, waiting to take the Olympia out on her first trip. It was on the next voyage that she broke the record, you remember? But that dates it, 92.